Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. Well, here we are. It's time. We've had a big correction. I'm going to talk in this video about what I think is going on, like what I think the causes are, what I think the potential solutions are, and there's a lot to go into, all over, both from macro and crypto. I'm going to talk about it all in one video. Towards the end, I'm going to talk about what I think happens next, and yeah, that's about it really. It's going to take a long time to discuss because I've got loads to talk about and I'll probably miss some stuff. But I want to give you a full overview of everything that I think because I think that's fair. I want to just start off by saying I am not particularly bearish here in terms of like long-term view. Nothing has changed in my opinion. I don't really know what can happen for that to change. The only thing that I think can happen for my opinion to change is that we see like despondency from governments, and I don't think we're going to see that. My overall view is that the government, the US particularly, because they're still the economic powerhouse, no matter what anyone says, thinks, whatever, they're by far the leaders in economy, economic sense. They own the world reserve currency, and the only thing that's probably going to make me feel bearish is if they either give up or they can't save markets if they try to intervene. So let's go. Daily time frame. Japanese yen versus the US dollar. Unraveling. We talked about this. Said the volume was rising. It was on in my newsletter. If you read the newsletter, it came out on Saturday. I spoke about this specifically. Said it looked like it might continue as volume was rising, but also now we've seen the lowest ever level on the daily RSI for the Japanese yen versus US dollar. And I've put some detailed posts as to why the unraveling of the yen is an issue for assets in general, because basically, as far as I understand, an easy explanation is institutions have been longing the dollar against the yen, taking a loan out to long the dollar against the yen at like no interest rate on the loan. The yen obviously depreciates, and so they get the appreciation in the dollar against the yen, and then they roll that into assets, and assets go up in value, so they get almost double. It's like a double bubble, but then when it unwinds, it's a double bubble on the unwind too. So that's the main problem as far as I'm seeing, which has led to this from Arthur Hayes. My TradFi birdies are telling me somebody big got smoked and it's dumping all of crypto. Not sure if this is true. I won't name names, but let the fam know if you're hearing the same. So maybe someone is messed. In the TradFi space, people are speculating for people in crypto, like Justin Sun, the founder of Tron. Justin Sun made a statement saying that's not true. He basically just said that they don't really mess with leverage. Jump trading, if you know them, they actually have been liquidating yesterday. They sold a lot off, about 500 million into stables. So could it be them? I don't actually know much about jump trading. I just saw it over my timeline yesterday. But I don't presume that they are the... I think it'll be a bank. I said on Friday that I thought there was going to be financial strain on banks, especially with this happening, because if you think that like banks are the people who are going to be over leveraged on probably this trade, rolling that into equities, and then the spillover from this. Let's look at the S&P. We're going to talk about crypto in a bit, but as I said, it's going to be a bit all over the place. I just want to get into everything I can. The spillover over this, actually, we'll look at the Japanese stock market first. So that's the Nikkei index, and we just look at that on the CME. This is the Nikkei right now. This is on the daily time frame. It's been the largest 2-day pullback in the history of the Japanese stock market. It actually did 16% in 2 days, currently at 10% down in 2 days. But realistically, if we look at the last 3 days, it would have been down 20% and currently down 15% in the last 3 days. This is why I thought on Friday would be the day that we would see bankruptcy filings. We saw it with Silvergate collapse. We saw it with Silicon Valley. Because then they have the weekend to sort out the issues, essentially. So there's that. So that's point one, basically. Actually, let me just have a look when this is one thing I've not actually prepped. Let's just quickly have a look at when the Silicon Valley Bank collapse was. Because I think this is very similar. Like, I'm feeling in my head like this is similar. Silicon Valley Bank collapse. See when that was. The 10th of March 2023. So we've obviously, this is the Nikkei. So this is the biggest pullback in Japanese stock history over the last 2 days. And then we're going to look at the S&P quickly now. And that's also taking a shit. And look where it's going to open today potentially, all the way down here. So it's already looking like, unless things change, a pullback of a further opening at minus 2.88%. So that's crazy. So when did we say the Silicon Valley Bank collapse was? 10th of March 23, which puts us where? January, February, March the 10th here. Literally at the bottom, like nearly at the bottom. And this is kind of where I feel like we are, honestly. I've not even looked at this chart. I've not looked at it. We've just found the Silicon Valley chart price together. But this is the sort of position that I think we're in. Doom and gloom. Everything's fucked. It's March 23. Everything's going to collapse. Banks are collapsing. No one knows what's going to happen next. Guess what? Federal Reserve, Treasury come in, make some sort of policy. Well, bank term funding program. Equities send it 46% in the next year. And sorry about my TradingView Pro. I know. Don't get on at me. I will buy it. And that's about to accelerate again, in my opinion, because we're all leveraged together. I keep saying this. Everyone's in the same boat. It's artificially stimulated. We artificially got ourselves out of that problem. We've got a lot of problems incoming, including what's it called? Corporate real estate. So real estate for businesses, basically. I know that's not the terminology people are using, but I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But let's say we did 46% there in a year. What do you think we can do if they're going to unload the dollar bazooka? In my opinion, they're just going to start spraying dollars everywhere, because this has got financial collapse written all over it unless they intervene. And whilst they're the power controlling the world reserve currency, in my opinion, they're going to intervene. So that's essentially where we are. I've seen Andreas Larsen talk about on Twitter that the Japanese yen is the first thing unraveling, and the second thing unraveling is the yuan, so the Chinese renminbi. This is what the Chinese renminbi looks like right now. This could also unravel. I think people are doing similar things. Again, it's just greedy banks, but they're going to bail out the greedy banks, and they proved it in 2008. They proved it in the UK gilt market. They proved it again with the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. That's why I've just shown that exact comparison there. This is where we're going. We're going to probably see intervention, and then we're probably going to see the upside, whilst everyone's in doom and gloom thinking, how is this possible? This can never happen. Probably go to the upside then. So, and then now we're going to get onto crypto. I think that's okay. As well as that, we also have been seeing some issues with like Iran, and I've seen reports that Iran are cooling down today. So there's now speculation that there's going to be a Fed meeting, emergency Fed meeting about rate cuts. I also think the Treasury are probably going to do something to inject liquidity into the markets. And I also think there might be meetings. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I think there could be meetings. This is a bit more speculative, between countries like China, like the G7, basically going to come sit down and say, look, do we need to reprice currencies? What's going on? But I don't think they're going to let anything collapse, especially not into an election year. It's all about Jerome Powell, all about his legacy, about Janet Yellen's legacy, getting themselves another term in the job and keeping the US economy afloat. That's their job. Like, that is their job. Like, it doesn't matter what people think, that's their job at the end of the day. If it collapses on their watch, they will be remembered forever, the people that let the economy collapse. And they've still got bullets in the gun when they can print money. That's what I think they'll do. I'm just having a quick look at gold while we're live, because it has lost a bit percentage like since we've been live. So now I'm going to get more towards crypto. We're going to look at crypto. So we're going to look at Bitcoin. I'm going to say this, what I made this tweet yesterday. Bitcoin is looking interesting, hitting the bottom of the range while the RSI, 4-hour RSI, is floating. Sorry, excuse me, I'll start again. Hitting the bottom of the range while the 4-hour RSI is floating with the oversold area, yet no open interest or leverage flush as of yet. So let's look at when this was. Here, 4 hours, boom. This was like here, we were here at this point here. And then I said, we touched the highlighted area, prompting some spot buying, which is positive. However, we see a spike in open interest whilst funding becomes more positive, maybe longs piling in. The fact that open interest hasn't really budged is slightly concerning, especially with funding being so green. It means people are probably longing. Also, likely a lot of shorts too, still wondering if we get a flush out or not. And then I said, it's likely we become slightly below my target, and actually we've crashed straight through this level. But you could see my point is that, and let me get open interest on. You could see my point is that open interest had not come down, and we were at the bottom of the range, which is exactly what I was talking about. Look, we're at the bottom of the range. Open interest hadn't come out. Are we going to get the flush? Is basically what I said. Well, guess what happened while I was asleep? Bang, open interest flush. Biggest probably open interest flush that we've seen since like this leverage flush here. Maybe one of the biggest of all time. Open interest flush of about $1.7 billion in open interest flushed out while I was asleep tonight. Great. That's exactly what I was looking for. If we go to the daily time frame for Bitcoin, the daily Bitcoin RSI at the minute is in the most oversold area since here, and I think it feels a little bit like this area at about 25k, when everyone was like, oh, we're not going up. In fact, I spoke to a lot of professional traders who were like, we're definitely going to come down and flush the lows to like this area, and we never did, and then we projected to the upside. And then the time before that was the literal exact bottom for Bitcoin when the RSI was this low. So that's one sort of positive. We're going to look now at trading different. If you remember this chart that I've had this daily chart written in for a long time. We're going to talk about some really more positive things now. So the open interest is flushed out, as you can see, on trading different. We've seen a lot of longs liquidated. We've seen some shorts liquidated, but a lot of longs liquidated, but not as many as were liquidated here. And we've back tested this possible liquidity area here. Positives and negatives. The negatives are there's still some big red liquidity below us, and from where we are now, that would still be a further 9-10% drop if we were to liquidate this level. However, as I've said in the past, when we do start marching on higher, liquidity can be left behind, as it was here. We did leave liquidity behind. So is the flush over? It's a great flush. We flushed a lot of leverage out. Is it over? Time is going to have to tell us on this one. And I had this possible range. I didn't actually think we would test this, but guess what? We have. This is what happens in markets. You have to be like on the ball. You have to plan for all eventualities. And I did, and I have posted this on Twitter before and also covered it on my YouTube videos. I even said yesterday, it's possible on a YouTube video or the day before, it's possible that we do wick below where I think, and maybe we just suck this liquidity up before we go higher. Nothing has changed in my shorter term time frame. We've come lower than I thought. As I said, let's see if I can find the arrows. There's the extra liquidity. I drew in. Look how much liquidity we've got above us though. This is kind of what I'm talking about, guys. We've got all this liquidity to flush, and it will. And people are adding, look, to shorts. People are adding to shorts. It's increasing now. I do think we head up to that area not very shortly, but because I don't know exactly what's going to happen this week now. Depends how the Fed come out. This is what I thought the structure could look like. We didn't. We crashed down. We're sucking through this big liquidity area. As you can see below, we have more liquidity here. Do we get that push down? I don't know. What happens today? I don't know for sure. But this is my thesis. Let me just be absolutely clear. My thesis is we go to all-time highs after this. I feel like I'm rambling a lot, but I've got so much to go through here. So that's liquidity discussed. And then now we're going to look at liquidity on Velo. So a few things that we're looking at here, actually, not just liquidity. We're looking at funding rate. This is what I said yesterday. Funding was green, even though we'd pulled back to the area of interest. Now funding is red, meaning that people are more short than long. Open interest in terms of coins, which is like Bitcoin against itself, has had a leverage flush. And spot buying is heavy. Heavy spot buying means people are buying without leverage, sucking up liquidity. Brilliant. That's exactly what we're looking for. Absorption at a key level. Do we come down a little bit further, as I said, and touch that other liquidity, completely have a flush out? That'll be very healthy in terms of getting rid of leverage. Does it definitely happen? I don't know. But this is positive, extremely positive. In fact, this is the most positive chart. I'll probably post this on its own because I know people aren't going to want to watch the whole video. So that's Bitcoin. I'm leaving Bitcoin there. Weekly, I've not actually looked at yet. There's not really a lot of points for on Monday. Anything can happen this week, guys. And I do think by the end of the week, the picture is going to be a lot different to what it is today. And I think things will heat up or cool down significantly in the next few days. ETH has taken a fat shit, basically. I thought it could hit this liquidity sweep area. We talked about this. I even got laughed at for talking about this area, but we ripped straight through it. So I guess who's laughing now? Not really me, because I did think that that would be the area that we'd hit. Decent pullback. Nothing to be too concerned about. I do think that everything's going to rip when we get out of this area, and now we're on to XRP. XRP, let's have a look at what's going on here. What else have I missed? I missed anything? TA, cross crypto, emergency meeting. Haven't missed too much yet. Let me just see if, on my notes. Yep, okay, I'm going to finish off with that anyway. So, XRP, the wave count that we've been looking at for a long time. I'm going to have 4 hourly just so we can actually see it a bit better. 4 hourly XRP RSI is nearly as oversold as it was at the bottom where I thought the last impulsive wave came from, or when we had this deviation in liquidity. I was calling for 48 to 52 cent XRP, but I've had this chart drawn in for a long time, which bottomed at 45 cent and topped at 52. We have come below that right now. I think this is probably nearly done, the selling. It's holding up pretty well. It's holding up better than Ethereum as of right now, and I'll get into that in a second. But this is the 5-wave structure we were looking for. Boom, 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 boom. As long as we hold a higher low, I'd love to see us hold above this solid white line. Then we can technically still be about to start our wave 3. So nothing's invalidated here really for XRP. I need to have a proper look, and I'll post some charts about it. We need to start seeing some bearish divergences and some absorption. Daily RSI is about to touch the oversold area. What I would like to see is a bearish divergence here, so maybe a lower oversold but still holding the price up high, but we'll get into that. So XRP against ETH and XRP against Bitcoin, let's have a look at those charts against ETH. Look, we are pushing higher and higher as the days come against ETH, although this is an ascending triangle. I would expect a pullback before we actually continue. Against Bitcoin, that's actually ETH against Bitcoin. Against Bitcoin, similar, like nothing's really changed. A lot of volumes come in, so people probably leveraged XRP against Bitcoin and have been stopped out, but there's a lot of volume coming in today. So not too much has changed with XRP. We're in my sort of range. We're slightly below it. Granted, said 48 cent low. I did have 45 drawn in on my chart, or 46. Yeah, we've come below it, but we haven't set any new lows yet. I'll reassess if we do. If we do set a new low, it just means we've got to look for a wave 1 impulsive before then getting an ABC as a wave 2 and then wave 3. So again though, leverage is flushed out to pretty much the lowest it's ever been for XRP, whilst price is still at 44 cent. Not awful. And that's about it for crypto. Like, I don't want to go into too much. Like, everything's pulling back, clearly. Don't panic. Like, I'm not bearish right here. I'm thinking this is a great time to buy, to be honest. Like, I've just told you on Bitcoin that I think at most we come down to, like, what's that? What was it? Like another 9%. I don't know exactly what the price was using the liquidity pools. Probably like 45k lowest. People are calling for 40k. I spoke to a crypto man on a call for a while this morning. We just talked about what we're thinking. Oftentimes when this happens, the bears don't win and the bulls don't win. Bears are starting to call for like 40k, 38k. 38k I wouldn't like to see us go below personally. You wouldn't want to break this level here. As long as we bottom in this area where we are now, it's actually all technically fine. And I do think we will pump faster and harder than people believe, because I think it's all artificially stimulated. I've been going over this over again and again and again. The Fed have now got double issue. One being employment came in lower than they basically at the rate where they said that they'd be starting to cut. They came in at 4.3%. They said they'd start cutting at 4%. And obviously now you've got this unraveling of the yen carry trade that's going to carry over to the US equity market. Let's see what happens, guys. One thing that's kind of positive, and I'm maybe misreading this, although it is looking to be pulling back right now, is that bonds aren't massively coming down, meaning that the flight to safety to bonds might have already happened. So bonds might have basically priced this in already. Bonds haven't decreased too much in percentage today. So obviously a lot of people aren't flying to safety today. They've either already done it or they're just sticking with whatever they're sticking with, because also gold is coming down in value as well. So money has to go somewhere, is basically my point. Like, it's got to rotate somewhere. And if flights to safety aren't going up in value, then where's the money going? Maybe it's going to cash. Well, that's not actually technically true either, because the DXY is coming down. The DXY is coming down heavily. All these things to me are spelling that crypto is getting ready for a pump. It might take a week, but or a week or two, but it also could be done in a day or two, because it depends what the Fed come out and say. We do have some looming problems, like this is Lockheed Martin Corporation. This is speculation of war, because this is a war stock, basically. I've seen a few people talking about it today. Basically, an American aerospace and defense manufacturer worldwide with tons of employees, but realistically on the weekly and the daily, it does look like it is overbought quite heavily. So maybe we see a pullback in that if we ran it back down today, basically. And to be honest, I want to leave you with this. I know I feel like I've just ranted out on Twitter over the day while I collate my thoughts. I just wanted to get everything across to you all in one video. As I said, I'm going to leave you with this because this is essential. I think is about to happen, and why I'm not really that bearish.
Of cash in the financial system, and there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. An infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
An infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
Peace up, A-Town down from Crypto Insight UK.
Of cash in the financial system.